Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to Fat Mascara. So if you're listening to this, the day it came out, Wednesday, July 10th, we're already back from work. We have a brand new amazing episode for you on Friday. But this right here is one of our best of Fat Mascara episodes, which we do from time to time when we have a little vacation. And it was July 4th here in the United States, so Jess and I took off. Anyway, this interview, wow. Listening back, it was kind of one big gossip session. By the way, it's with Sally Hershberger, but you read that in the description. So Jess and I started our careers in beauty and magazines like in the early aughts, and Sally Hershberger was one of the biggest names in hair. But I'll just be honest, she wasn't warm and cozy with the beauty editors. She was kind of an icon and just too cool, and she was too busy being a fashion heavyweight. So, you didn't get a chance to interview her a lot. So when we finally met her for this interview, which we recorded spring of 2019, so it's an early interview, we just had a backlog of questions, as you will hear. We wanted to talk about her life and how she got into hair and the whole world of celebrity hair, and she just has some crazy stories. So are you going to learn to cut a shag like Sally Hershberger in this interview? Absolutely not. But you will learn that her first girlfriend was Joan Jett, and you'll learn how hard it is to keep a salon open, even when you have a well-known name and investors. Just the business of being in salons, the business of being Sally, it's difficult. So this is like gossipy and a proper gab fest. And like I said, it's one of our early interviews. So we were back in a physical studio, which we no longer have. But this interview is great. I hope you enjoy it. Everybody, please welcome hairstylist Sally Hershberger to the studio.
The person we're with today has worked with every celebrity, like really. She has a product line as well as New York salons, uptown, downtown, and a brand new one that's just opened in sparkly Hudson Yards last week. I was there. Welcome, Sally Hershberger.
Hello.
It's freaking Sally Hershberger. How cool.
My intro could have gone on a lot longer, so consider yourself lucky.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to do this. You guys are a blast already.
Oh, thank you.
You guys should have heard us before.
Oh, that was very beauty uncensored.
Juicy.
Oh, we'll get into
all
it.
The
Don't
gals.
you worry.
Can't get into all of it,
Yeah.
but yeah. So, okay. We have a lot of questions. This one's kind of big and open-ended, but I have to ask you. We don't ask everyone this because we'll be here forever.
Yeah.
But I feel like you have a very interesting story. How did you get into hairstyling?
Well, actually, I didn't even want to be a hairdresser, and I'll make this long story shorter.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't because, I came from a family where people were doctors or lawyers. It's just, But I was also 16 in L.A. My father lived in Kansas, and he was an oil man. My mom was kind of living the life that she couldn't live there. So I grew up in a wild house.
She was living the life in L.A.?
Yeah, she was young. She was in her 30s, and my brothers, I had two older brothers, and they were best friends with, the Pretenders, and Joan Jett was my first girlfriend, and,
Was your first girlfriend?
Yeah, and I was 16.
Wait,
I also had
what?
boyfriends, yeah. So I was, popular with the guys in school, and I was a surfer girl. But then I had this other life going to the clubs, sneaking out at night with Joan and all those,
So
people.
on brand.
So, long story short, I just thought I would inherit my trust fund and I never would work again. So it was all happening in L.A. in the 70s, going to these nightclubs. And you would just be like, oh, hey, I heard Elton John's having a party. Are you going? We weren't invited. We just went. And we were young, cute kids. And we went to, Cher's having a party tomorrow night. So before I knew it, this was kind of our life, rock stars and
this
whatever.
This is so fabulous. I'm seeing the movie in my head right now. I've got a soundtrack. God, this is so cool.
Yeah, well, I want to call it the Sugar Shack because there was a club, the Sugar Shack, that we all would go to. David Bowie, everybody who was kind of coming out in their sexuality, but it was very bisexual.
Were you very nonplussed by all this as a teen because you were just kind of jaded rich kid? Or were you no, this is fucking awesome?
Well, it just was normal. So, Joan would be like, hey, let's go to the Whiskey A Go-Go. The Ramones are there. And Joan had just gotten back from being with the Sex Pistols. So she was very iconic, wearing all her leather and safety pins. My mom was like, who is this girl you're hanging out with? First, actually, I was first with the drummer, Sandy West, of the Runaways for a minute. And then I met Joan. Then we all went home after Rodney Bingenheimer, and you don't want to know that part. But anyway, so like having shag hair, I was very obsessed with hair.
Yeah.
Did Joan have that haircut then? You think
she
of
had
Joan Jett haircut? Okay.
And so
were you inspired by her to do your hair like that, or did she steal your look?
I did it before her. But she probably had it too. We all had like shags. I think Paul McGregor gave me my first haircut, very famous hairdresser. But I remember vividly how they blew it out. It was horrible. Like, I never liked that feeling when you leave a hair salon and you look like you did.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to look cooler than that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
just naturally happened that way. I didn't work at it. So, long story short, oil started crashing in the 80s. And then I was with Sandra Bernhardt. And she was like, honey, God bless the child who has his own. And I remember vividly being with her, and I had a crush on Matt Dillon. I loved like a pretty boy.
Yeah, who doesn't?
I still do. So he hit on her, and I'm like, I was nothing. And so she was so famous at that time.
Yeah.
She just finished the movie with Robert De Niro.
Are you going to pick up all these names you're dropping when you head out the studio,
I know,
Sally? I
know.
love it.
One
It's so
time,
cool.
one time, but I don't look at it like that. But one
These
time,
were your people.
I was teaching a show on
Keep going.
a stage, and they said the woman,
the king of comedy.
king of comedy,
The king
right.
of comedy.
So I
Her
meet
big
Sandra
break came in
Bernhardt.
1983. Okay.
Yeah, and I wasn't really into it. So long story short, anyway, that's another story. We would go over to Warren Beatty's, and Sean and Madonna were just getting together.
Okay.
And I watched Sandra command the room, and I'm like,
Is that when she became friends with Madonna?
That's a separate story.
Yes.
That's not happening on this one.
We need a two-parter interview.
Yeah, that's a
We need
whole other
okay.
thing. 'Cause
This is the
that could
hair.
have gone another direction. I'm just leaving it at that. But that's another story.
Okay.
After we're done. But anyway, long story short, my friend goes, you should go to that beauty school over there and do hair. Because my mom's like, honey, you can't hang out and go out at clubs. You got to go back to school.
FYI, Sally's taking off her jacket. She's just getting warmed up.
Okay.
I know I'm getting hot in here. It's really hot. No, it feels good. So long story short, I go to beauty school. I went to 3 because I kept getting kicked out because I was partying all the time, going out at night. And I went to take my tests, and mine was all about electricity. Because, to be a hairdresser, cosmetology school, you have to know how to do a manicure, a pedicure. They gave me the one all on the science part. So I go back to my friend. I go, I definitely failed, but I passed. I couldn't believe it. I mean, they were asking me about electrical currents. I never studied. So then, long story short, I worked with this famous hairdresser, Arthur Johns. He was doing Olivia Newton-John, let's get physical, and all that. And I was an assistant. Karen Carpenter, I'm shampooing her hair. Gigi Gabor, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was in there. And then when I decided to go on my own, he told me, oh, I wanted to work at this famous hair salon. It was called Armando's, and only 8 hairdressers worked there. And it was the chicest. It was a little house off of Melrose. And he goes, you can't work there because they all were famous. Every single 7 of them were famous. And I'm like this kid. I go, fuck him. I'm going in there. I drive up in my little Jeep. And I was like 18. And they go, oh, let's see you do a haircut. They were all so jaded. I did a haircut. Anyway, they hired me.
Yeah.
And then Armando had been Olivia Newton-John's makeup artist, and then he became her hairdresser. He couldn't go on tour with her. So he said, take Sally. So I go on tour with her. I'm now 19 on her private jet. I'm like, this is cute. I just, she had the short hair, the headband. And I met Herb Ritz on that shoot. He was on the tour shooting her. And Herb Ritz was the most famous photographer pretty much at that time. And he lived in L.A. And so he hired me to start doing covers, and Michelle Pfeiffer was like the first big cover.
Right.
And she is a very good friend of mine, but I became her hairdresser for like 20 years. But she and I were like banging heads, because she's very picky about her hair. She's more picky than I am about hair. She really knows hair.
She must be pretty picky.
Yeah.
You mentioned that. Well, first of all, I just want to back up for a second because you said oil fell. So I just want to close the loop on that. So what was the implication of oil falling? Was it like
You got to go get a paycheck?
was that
somehow?
like
I had to
some
go,
urgency
I had to
that
go to work.
Okay,
And
so
my dad lost everything.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it made him a better person.
And then so you
But
got
he was fancy. I mean, he built the biggest house in the United States for multiple years. It wasn't,
Wow.
it was a big life.
okay.
He bought the first Learjet ever built.
Wow.
I had this other life that I was very private about.
Yeah.
Like I'd have my mom drop me off at school a block away because she had 8 fancy cars, not one. She had a Porsche,
Wow.
a Jag, a Cadillac. She had the whole shebang. So I didn't want, and I demanded to go to public schools. I didn't want to be, I wasn't into that. I wanted to know the people that, are in the hood, so to speak.
Yeah. So, so then you're palling around with Michelle Pfeiffer. You get this exposure to her Brits. I remember you said to me something that like one of the biggest things that shaped your career was that simply you were in LA at this time.
Yeah, what
Can you
was
just expand on that a bit?
fascinating about LA is that Her Brits was pretty much Condé Nast, and then Matthew Ralston was shooting all Harper's Bazaar covers. And Interview, and Herb had Interview as well. Actually, the first cover I did with Michelle Pfeiffer was Interview cover. I have pictures of it. She was amazing. And, we were both smoking then. It was a different time. And I would do
She's
both.
very healthy now. She's very healthy now.
Oh, yeah. Very. We all try to be now, I guess. I did have some red wine last night, which wrecks you. But anyway, so I would shoot Harper's Bazaar in the morning and then Herb like the afternoon light. So I would go and do multiple shoots. And they were shooting every single actress and model, like Tatiana, Cindy Crawford, Christy Turlington. Like, I did all their hair. We were all friends. We all started together. I remember Cindy had short hair when I first met her, very short.
Wow.
Just from Chicago. Like, we all started our careers together. That Naomi, we all kind of – so long story short, it just kept happening for me. And then I finally gave it up and I became a photographer. Vogue gave me my first job. Then I shot a movie poster with Julia Roberts and Nick Nolte, and they loved the hair because I couldn't keep my hands out of the hair. So they pulled me on that movie.
To do hair?
Yeah, I Love Trouble, I think it was, with Nancy Myers, and it took 6 months to shoot. I bought a house. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, I'm going to do hair. Now I'm just going to get into
It chose you. It chose you. I'm sorry.
I can't get away from it. So long story short, I got into hair products from that. I thought at least I'm going to turn it into a business. And then I opened my first salon on Melrose Place when nobody was there. It was skeletons. And by the time I let it go with John Frieda, that street became more expensive real estate than Rodeo Drive.
What made you open a salon? Like, why did you think, I'm doing all this editorial work, I have work already. Why do you want to have a space for it?
Because I started in a salon, I like being with other hairdressers, and I like that you're not being told what to do.
You're not on set with the photographer being
the
like,
photographer,
move it this
the
way.
editor. It's very intense, as you both know.
Yeah,
you
it's
have
intense.
everybody like.
Sally, didn't you have your own fan person? Like, I know the hair person always has to move the fan or the paper cardboard to make the wind. I feel like you would have your person that did that for you.
I'll tell you, and we were talking about the other day, I didn't have an assistant in those days.
What?
No, I didn't have an assistant. My first assistant was Chris McMillan.
So that was like early 90s, late 80s?
Yeah, you would not, you could never bring an assistant.
What?
So you're the
Ever.
person that was on their knees with the weird fan machine trying to make it all
Honey,
happen.
Herberts would push me in the water constantly.
Like,
Get
go
in
in-
the water. Go fix that. Because he would shoot.
Oh, he loves, right, a lot of his iconic photos are in the water.
I forgot that Chris was your assistant. And then because I was thinking when I was writing my little intro, I was like, no one else has created like an iconic cut. And I was like, maybe like Vidal Sassoon. I was like, Sally. And then I thought, Chris McMillan's the only other one.
Yeah.
Your guy.
With
Yeah.
Jennifer
Yeah,
Aniston.
with Jennifer.
Yeah,
What
we
kind
haven't
of
had
cut
Chris
is that?
on the
What do you
show.
call that cut?
The Jennifer, the Rachel.
The Rachel.
The
Let's
Rachel.
talk about your cut, though, because you just mentioned it briefly. I'm sorry, we're just calling it your cut. How would you describe it for people, we're audio only. What is that iconic shag kind of haircut? What's that about?
So it goes back to it became very famous on Meg Ryan, but prior to her, I had cut Julia Roberts. I was her hairdresser for years too, and she was like, "Hey, Sally," when we had voicemails, the box. This Julia, can you cut my hair tomorrow at Lucien's house? I'm like, Julia. And I realized it was Julia Roberts. And I go over there. She was so famous for that hair.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, just cut it off. There was no mirror, nothing. I cut off her hair, and the press are going crazy.
Around what time in her career was this?
I remember her short hair.
It's like the 80s, I think. Like right after Pretty Women, when she was really, she had the hair.
Yeah, it was this big, like gorgeous,
Steel Magnolia's
curly,
time, maybe.
hair.
Yeah, and I was like, why are they calling me? I mean, I cut hair. People cut their hair off. What's the big deal? Like, I so was not like thinking, oh, this is going to be amazing for my career. I never, ever did anything with that pretense. You know what I mean? I didn't think, I'm going to do this because then I'm going to be famous. Or I'm going to do that. I was so in hair because I love it. Like, it makes or breaks you, I think. I know for me personally, if I have a bad haircut, it's the worst.
God.
It's your best accessory.
And you make that mistake like once, maybe twice. Yeah. Did you feel after you did the Meg Ryan haircut, which it's kind of like for people who, if there's anyone who's not quite sure what we're talking about, it's kind of like the French kiss era, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So when we did that, it was really about the script. Meg loves messy hair, and I do too. And there's a period through the movie where she doesn't wash her hair. So we were like chopping into it. I was coloring her hair then and just, doing you know what I mean? It was very
so
hands-on.
Cool.
But I think if you ever asked what I'm really known for before Meg was texture, because we would be on the beach shooting with her Brits, and if you look at old pictures, like the 5 girls that are naked, all huddled, the hair's just all
That's the
texture.
other iconic.
Yeah,
photo.
I have a lot of iconic.
Yeah, I'm saying the other one. Like there's 2. That's another iconic photo. Yeah,
there's a lot, but I was really known for texture. So I would just grab things and put sand in the hair and oil, and I'm very much like in the moment of what's going to make that hair look amazing in the moment. So to this day, Annie Leibovitz will hire me just to be on set. Same with Steven Meisel, and just do the girls. One time, Steven shot 50 of the top models from like every age, and it was just like taking the hair and just kind of zhuzhing it, just tweaking it, not prepping it, and doing it on set. So I'm known for giving a gesture on set that gives that just it just makes the picture.
I'd say je ne sais quoi,
tactile.
but that's too French. We need more like an LA rock and roll version of je ne sais quoi, whatever that is.
it's that oomph.
It's an oomph. It's like it's
oomph.
an effortlessness that
attitude.
just kind of just changes everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You should see Jessica doing her hair right now.
She's getting into it.
I just wrecked
I'm
mine.
like, I'm looking at Sally touching my hair, like looking for some approval, like this.
Yeah,
right?
like it's just you just take that and you just kind of fling it over the eye. And
Our
it's like,
producer's looking at me like, what the F?
it's just like I know, you should see what's happening in here. But it's those moments that make the picture, and her Brits really taught me that. I also was working with Helmut Newton, who lived in California for the 3 months. So Polly Mellon discovered me at Vogue through her Brits, and then she got Carlene Surf on me, and then, Tawny Goodman. So there was that. And then where I got really blessed, again, my career was not premeditated, is that I moved to New York because there's an ashram I really like, and I just started being more and more
This
on
is
the
getting
East
very
Coast.
fashion.
Yeah.
There's an ashram you really like?
Well, I've been going since 1989.
Okay.
So it's called Siddha Yoga.
Oh, okay.
It's a it's a meditation place. Like a lot of like Lori Goldstein and I started there, but it's under, I don't talk about it, but I liked being there.
Okay.
Keeping me centered. And then I thought, well, I want to move more into fashion in New York, and everyone's like, "Ugh, that's going to be really hard."
Versus celebrity, you mean?
Yeah, because they did. So I got really lucky. They started putting the celebrities on Vogue covers. And then I got in with Steven Meisel in New York. And then once again, it all took off again.
And every magazine started doing that. You were in the right place at the right time.
I was at the right, yeah. I mean, you couldn't have planned that any better. And then I met John Frieda and did product lines. I did, the sheer blonde with him. I worked with him. I was the PR creator for 10 years, and then he sold his company.
You put air quotes around PR creators. Does that mean somebody else created it, but then you tell people how to use it, or you actually worked on the formulas?
I worked on the formulas.
Okay, so you're the creator.
You can't, for me, I can't fake it.
Right.
I don't have that kind of personality.
So what are some of the products that, are some of your greatest hits, so to speak, from that you've worked on, whether John Frieda or I'm sure you've been consulted for other lines.
I have. After John Frieda, I had an exclusive. I did a few things, but I really always, they were getting ready to do a product for me, John Frieda, and then they sold. So I then took a year developing my first line. I actually went into mass, which is so not me, even though John was in mass.
This is where I get to ask my question.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Sally Hershberger, what happened to this product?
Dun, dun, dun.
I've talked about it on the podcast. This is Glam Waves Style Shaper. It was a foam.
Yeah.
It was at Walgreens exclusively, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Sally, do you know how much I spent for this on Amazon last year?
How much?
I wrote it down just so I didn't forget. It was $26.99 for one bottle. And then I just went on right before. I bought two,
God.
so I have a little bit left. And I went on, and it's now $42.99. And God knows where I'm getting it from and how old it is.
I have some for you.
This product was one of my favorites, and it's not around anymore. But this was is this the line you were referring to?
So yeah, that was my first line, and I went into
love this
mass
product.
because I did it with John Frieda. He sold for $450 million, and I developed.
What happened to this mass line?
Well, so I went into mass, and then McKinsey came in. They came into all the magazines. And,
McKinsey.
Yeah.
Consultants.
And if you
scary.
weren't doing over $5 million, they got rid of you. I was doing about that, and I developed this. Not this one. It's not here right now. I think I ran out. It's a gold jar.
Yes.
And I developed it, and I went on HSN with it, and it sold out. And I called it 24K, and it was a texturizing paste. And it sold out, and I thought, you know what? I need to base a whole line around this. I'm really luxury.
Yeah.
I mean, not to be, but I've always been the most expensive. That's who I am. I'm not a mass person, even though I like it. It's just not really like I
Gotta
like.
be authentic to who you are.
It's not really
We get it.
consistent with your brand.
It's just not. And I did that because it's what I knew, but it wasn't. There was a disconnect, and everyone felt that between me and the brand. So I will be bringing that back. I have a new line coming out.
I don't care. You can make it. It could cost $50. You can
Okay.
put gold particles in it if you want.
right.
It's fine. But if it does that to my hair when
All
I air
right.
dry, I want it.
All right, I'll make sure you get that.
Okay, I have a question about talking about you being luxury and all that. I remember when your salon came out, there was a big article in New York Mag called Big Hair. You were one of the big, we really were kind of the main person in it. And, at that time, there were the big stylists. It still is like this. It's you. There are, a lot of other stylists, but they're all men. And I know that
There was John Sahag and
John Sahag,
Garen and Oscar
RIP,
Blondie, and it was all dudes.
Garen, Orlando, Fakai, and you're in this kind of pantheon. And I remember it's come up a few times among beauty editors, there's only one, big female hairstylist. And, when I spoke with you about it at one point, you were just kind of yeah. But it wasn't you've never identified as I would think other people in your shoes would really be beating their drum about that. I think it's really interesting that you've never leaned into that. Can you kind of speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a fascinating thing because people always ask me, why do you think you're the real female? I mean, now there's other people like Jen Atkins.
But Jen's also a different type of
Yeah, she's a very different. I mean, she got, because if you work with the Kardashians, you're going to be famous. It's that simple.
Yeah.
But you were set people, the editorial crew.
That's a different.
And you have a salon. You were the first person to. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you were the first in that article. The reason why I brought up that article is you were the first person to be F you, I'm charging $800 for a haircut.
Yeah.
Bye. You know.
I really come from a different background, though, because of my father and the confidence in my family. I just never felt there's nothing I can't do if I want to do it. and I don't mean that in a egotistical way. It's like, oh, if I want to take a picture, I can do that. I don't feel insecure.
What do you mean if you want to take a picture?
Like when I was a photographer, like, oh, I'm going to be a photographer now. I did a clothing line as well. I'm just more like...
You have no insecurities?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have insecurities about being creative.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
Do you think that comes from your dad?
Yeah, and I think because my family just never told me they never told me I could do it, and they never told me I couldn't. Do you know what I mean? Like I was just kind of left to my own soul, my own. I listen to myself, and I don't follow people. I'm not a follower. I feel like I'm been a bit of a leader in this industry as far as what I'm doing. Like opening salons in areas that no one would ever do. As the first in the meat packing, the first on Melrose Place, I've changed those real estate areas,
Sure, yeah.
No one was in the meat packing, and now, I'm in the only salon in Hudson Yards. And what was the point? The point is I move very quickly in my head, and I just kind of go with my own. I don't follow people and what they're doing. I do get insecure about, like, when you first open a business, like, okay, now we got to make sure it goes. And I don't even know if that's insecurity. It's more like it's not fear. It's just it's a stagnant moment when you launch and go into Sephora. There's that moment, like it's easy to get in, it's easy to open a salon, but I don't know if you've looked around. A lot of people have closed their salons.
We wanted to actually ask you about that.
Yeah.
The salon game has changed so much since you opened your first salon.
Oh, my God.
With the way chairs are rented out, with how much product they're selling or not selling.
Yeah.
How have you seen it change in the last, even just 5 years, I would say?
Well, most of the people that have opened salons, a lot of them in LA worked for me. I feel like, and New York. Actually, everyone who works at Surge was trained by me, most of them. I mean, they call it Sally Hershberger at Surge Normal, John Frieda. Do you know what I mean? Like, Marie Robinson wiped out my salon with all of my people that I trained.
What was that like?
It wasn't great because the person that did that was married to Sharon Duran before Marie.
Wait, the person?
Abel, her boyfriend.
Was married.
Or husband, whatever.
Oh.
He was with my partner, and he got mad at Sharon, so he took it out on me. That was a very direct hit, and it was $2.5 million hit, so I wasn't happy. But unfortunately, if you just sit back, there's a thing called karma. So now all his people have just left to go to Hudson Yards without doing anything.
And that's where your new salon is, Hudson Yards.
I mean, I don't go after people. I let people come to me because I don't believe in how this industry has become, like, really cutthroat. Like, I've called these salon owners. I said, can you please stop calling the people that I've trained, that I've groomed from nothing up? Like, why don't you train your own people? Like, help me out here because you're ruining it. Because what happened was they started giving them better deals. And the reality in this business, you cannot make money owning a salon anymore. I mean, you really can't. I mean, John Frieda owns Surge for the most part. You know what I mean? You need some type of a backer for the most part because with the deals that people have, by the time your rent, the towels, the employees, and it's a bigger, it's a tough industry. And unfortunately, hairdressers have ruined it for other hairdressers. When I started charging $600, it was on the cover of the Post.
Yeah.
And they were interviewing hairdressers saying that's terrible. I'm like, why is that terrible? I just made it better for you.
It's good for all of us. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I feel a haircut is worth for me. You don't have to charge that, but like.
So why did you want to do it? Why do you keep doing it? I mean, I know you're in a different position than the average hairstylist.
Yeah.
But why do you?
To be honest, it's I've been approached by huge real estate companies to do it.
Thank you for your honesty.
I create a much different deal now. I don't use my own money.
Okay,
Right.
Got it.
I mean, that's a little
benefit.
personal, but if you want me, then you can give me a salon. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I understand that.
Because it takes too the way I build a salon, it's $2 million of my own money. I had to walk out of 14th Street when they got rid of every person there. I was the last to leave. I had to walk away from my investment.
Do you think this is partially because now that we have social media, I talked to another stylist about this, and they say you don't go to the salon anymore. You're not going for the salon. You go to your person, and you're going to follow them if they move around.
That's a great point.
Does that make it harder business to be in because there's less of that loyalty to, the Sally Hershberger salon?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they say statistically you lose like 35% when you move. I'm not so sure about that.
The hairdresser will lose 35% of their clientele.
Yeah, because a lot of them like your salon.
Right.
You know what I mean? They don't want to go to the other salon. You know what I mean? Because they're comfortable and they go to the colorist in the salon. It's a tricky thing. But the loyalty is slim pickings.
And it's gotten less so over the years. I guess.
Yeah.
How has social media like changed the game for you in the past 5 years, or just speaking more broadly, do you look at it changing the salon industry?
Oh God, it's completely changed the salon industry. I mean, someone said a great thing. If Instagram crashed, where would half the people go? Because they don't do editorial, they don't do celebrities. A lot of people you're over. Like
that's where you're making your money
right here. If it blew up in the sky, there's no kind of archive in the way that, you know what I mean? Like if it went away, where you build your brand, which is great. It's an amazing thing. It's a lot more work for people like me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You're also making products, so you're going to be fine even if Instagram and the salon go away. You're selling. You have your line 24K now. Let's talk about that a little bit, shall we?
Yeah.
I see. I know you brought it here, and I'm familiar with some of these products. Why is there a pill bottle on the table, Sally?
Oh, God. Well, everyone, complains about losing their hair. So these are vitamins to promote hair growth. And I've been working on this for a long time. I don't know if you read that article in W like a couple years ago with different doctors. I've been working on multiple products. And to get it right is very daunting because you have FDA. But I know most of the women I do are 40 and up, unless some mother's paying for their daughter to get their hair cut, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're seeing as hormones change, women losing their hair is a very unsexy topic. But I can't tell you how many are losing their hair. We're in this room very lucky. Do you know what I mean? But I touch so many people's hair, and it's an uncomfortable subject for a lot of them. So I've been working on multiple things. So that is one of the things. It's a lot like Nutrafol. And
and you worked with doctors because we've been wanting to have a doctor on who can talk about hair loss. So afterwards, you're going to have to tell us who we should talk to. So we have supplements. What else is going on there?
Okay, well, let's start with the.
Well, we don't have to go through the whole thing since people can't see it.
Shampoo and conditioner. Okay, this shampoo and conditioner for me is my favorite of all shampoo conditioners. Why? Because it cleans from the inside out, and it gives your hair body, which I like. I like products that keep your hair clean. I can't stand seeing product in hair. Okay. I just want it to do what it needs to do. So for me, I love the shampoo and conditioner. Also makes your hair look brighter even after one shampoo. That's a fact.
I like that.
Jess told me you also are like a mousse girl, which I was
so, yeah. When you put mousse in my hair the other day, and I was so surprised because I haven't used mousse since the last time someone told me I should use mousse. I don't know. I can't get this through my head, but mousse just seems like I don't know. It
like
seems
white rain.
Remember like 80s, like crunchy?
I don't know. I think the last time I used mousse was it had dust on it because it was underneath my mom's
that's
cabinet.
So funny.
You know?
Okay, so when you just shampoo and condition your hair afterwards, it's like fly away and limp, right?
Yeah.
I can't stand little hairs flying in my face. It gives your hair. This is super lightweight mousse, by the way. But I've used it.
Is this it right here?
Yeah.
Oh, this is what I need. Supreme body.
Supreme body, baby. And you just run it through your hair when it's wet, and you get instant body and guts. I like hair that has a holding power. Guts. And like it's not like flimsy, you know, like no matter which way I fling the hair, curly, straight, flip it, but it like holds that style a bit without feeling it in the hair.
And what do you say to people who are like, or you just could not wash your hair for 4 days and not use product and you'd have the guts? Are you not on this train?
No, because by then it's greasy and nasty.
Okay,
I mean,
not on
I
that
don't
train.
believe in washing your hair every day unless you really need to. But this just really also it allows you to your hair lasts longer in whatever style you have it in.
Yeah. And can I use it on dry hair? You can't really use it on dry hair.
I would use it on wet. Like after you shampoo, condition. What I would really use, I'm going to jump here.
Mm-hmm.
I was the first to do a keratin at home. Just FYI.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Also, the first beach spray, way before Bumble, I did with John Frieda.
Didn't you work on Bumble, though? Or we made that up in our heads?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I thought I read that.
I did it with
Feels
John Frieda, and it was way ahead of its time.
The beach sprays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just brought it back. But this is a keratin spray, and I am a firm believer in after you shampoo and conditioner and you just do a spray of this, it's like taking your vitamins. This is like putting vitamins in your hair. And it's so easy. You just missed it. And people are obsessed with this.
And what
I'm
about
gonna use
the
that.
women with thinning hair? Does that help at all, or that's more the
Well,
supplements?
it builds your keratin back. We all lose our keratin as you age, so you need to put it back in there. And there's also amazing other little ingredients there. But it's like it's a no-brainer. You know, you take vitamins.
It's not going to affect the style or anything.
At
It's just
all.
more
If
for
anything, it's going to make the style better because it adds like the whole nutrition to your hair.
Nice.
Sally, quick cue.
Yeah.
I go to sleep with like damp hair because I take a shower at night and I go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
So my hair's dry a lot. Are any of these things good that I can use on dry hair, or do I need to like?
You can use that on dry hair.
Okay, I can use keratin on dry.
Yeah, or wet. And the dry oil.
Okay.
I was very hesitant in doing a dry oil because I hate silica. I hate like those greasy products.
Okay.
Hate.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I have to stay with, I have to be competitive now. So this is like my number one. People die over this dry oil because you blow out your hair with it or just leave it wavy. And this is amazing for you, especially from here down.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
You
My
guys,
little, like,
if you have dry
ends.
hair, you need this in your hair. I mean, it's by far the best one. It's not greasy.
Okay.
And then the root lift. Everybody likes a little root lift, and this is so lightweight. This is actually my number one.
There's like 8 number ones right now.
I mean, you know what?
Can you
I
tell
gotta
that
tell you.
Sally's been on HSN?
I know. But I got to tell you, I style hair,
Yeah.
and so I really understand product.
Yes.
I know.
You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
not like, this isn't fake. And then my pomades, I have a texturizing paste and a balm, which I always use the
Sally,
balm.
we'll put links to all these on the website.
Before we let you go,
Yeah.
though, you know other beauty stuff. You are in the mix. What else is in your beauty bag, non-hair related? Because you were hanging out with Joan Jett. You might missed some hard partying days, and you're still looking pretty good, you know?
Well, you know what's really weird?
What?
You can see me. I don't really wear makeup unless I'm going to get photographed. And then I wear like I take a little, and I haven't found the perfect one. If anyone can recommend, I like a little charcoal under my eyes, but it has to be soft, but not too soft where it like smudges everywhere. I just tried the YSL one. You know, I'm at Barney's all the time.
The like pointy triangle one?
Yeah, I like a little
Too smudgy.
kohl, like a smudgy, and just like a little mascara. I use Maybelline. I mean, the last I heard, that's a really good one.
Well, it is a Fat Mascara podcast. I think
we can sort you out.
Yeah.
But
Maybelline's a good
Maybelline's
one.
good. Maybelline's really good.
Yeah. I don't like makeup. I think women look really cool without it. Like a little bit, but I don't like too much I don't like plastic. I like a natural beauty. And I think women, don't need that much makeup. Why do we need makeup and men don't?
Like, sing it.
I mean, I think
Look
that's
at
a
you. She's
weird
all like-
concept. Like, why do we have to wear makeup?
Well, men wear it now, too. So.
I know. Well,
You must love
and I
that.
don't really like that.
You don't?
I mean, I like it if they wear it like more rock and roll. But
What about like a Dave Navarro kind of like
Or like a
whole eye?
Haven't you done Justin
I mean,
Bieber? He wears a little makeup every now and then, right?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Maybe
No,
not.
he doesn't
He
really
doesn't
wear.
look
no.
like he does.
No, I don't think that's like very Justin Bieber. I think he's very.
I think he's more like, his skin, he doesn't look like he's wearing makeup right now. He looks more like really raw.
He's raw.
Raw. Leave it at that. And I'm a huge fan.
Do you want to know something really funny? I too have a Joan Jett story.
Oh, really?
I didn't go out with her.
Oh.
But when I was...
Do you want to?
No. Wait,
She's married.
Can you hook it up? Can you hook a sister
I could.
up?
Hall pass from Jeff.
When I was in college, my brother did like the makeup for like an indie film, and it was Joan Jett was in the movie, and I assisted him, and I was so
touched her.
I was so frightened because he like went to like go do something, and they were like, "We need makeup on Joan," and I did her makeup for something.
No way.
I was terrified.
You've
No
never
way.
told me this
Yes,
story.
it's true. It's true. Ask Terry. And I remember just being like, I didn't know what I was doing. I don't have a makeup license. And I'm like, this looks about right. And she was so cool. I was so terrified.
What'd you say? Yeah, man.
No, she was
fine,
she was totally normal, but I was like, my heart was like the Bugs Bunny, like the heart beating out. And I was just like, petrified. She was so nice. But
She's like Joan's like the nicest. I mean, what?
so petite.
So, yeah, she's
petite.
very small.
Can you get her on the podcast for her? Come back, we'll do like a four-way interview.
She would do it.
We'd party. That'd be fun. Rock and roll episode.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I wonder if she'd remember that I was like trembling, like,
She probably would. Smoke, but
All right, we'll make it fun. We'll make it a party. This has been the coolest interview ever.
Oh my God.
You're
Cool.
everything that we thought you were going to be.
awesome.
Thank
That
you.
was so fun,
Sally,
you guys. You
you're
guys
the
are
best.
a ball.
We hope you enjoyed the show.
It's your reviews and feedback that help us make the podcast even better. Head over to iTunes to rate and review us, or email your thoughts to info@fatmascara.com.
We also want to answer your beauty questions and hear what products you love. To share a Razor One product review or to ask a beauty question, email us at info@fatmascara.
If you send it as a voice memo file, we can even share your voice on the podcast. You can also do that by leaving us a voice message. Our phone number in the United States is 646-481-8182.
Thanks so much for listening.